Hi everyone, I hope all is well. My name is Ashanti and welcome to Uniquely Ashanti's Corner. Today I am bringing to you another dose of vitamin P to feed your mind, and today's topic is stop punishing yourself. Now I want to ask you a question. How many of you tuning in are guilty of constantly beating yourself up whenever you make a mistake? Because I know that I'm definitely guilty of doing this myself. While the majority of us already know that we're not perfect and can never be perfect, we often get mad at ourselves when we do something that is outside of the norm, like forgetting something at the grocery store, neglecting to be more thorough in a paper we wrote, freezing up as a result of feeling nervous, or making a minor mistake. But of course, in our minds, the minor mistake is always a major mistake, right? I mean, it's a normal reaction to be disappointed with ourselves when these types of things happen, right? But when we constantly revisit that moment in our minds over and over and over and over again, that's when it becomes a problem. And you know why that is? It is because we are allowing that one mistake to make us feel like that we are a failure. We're keeping ourselves in the past rather than moving forward. The mistakes that we make may be outside of our norm, but we have to understand that these types of things will happen in our lives. It's inevitable. It can be a result of life becoming more hectic or getting hit by an unexpected event. But what we have to understand is that in life, we are going to make mistakes, and we can either allow those mistakes to break us or make us better people. It is important for us to be kinder and more patient with ourselves. Do not allow yourself to believe the lie that says that you are not good enough because of past mistakes. That is nothing but the enemy trying to trick you. God loves you just the way that you are, and he doesn't expect you to be perfect. He wants to see you grow and be all that he created you to be. Now, excuse me, I was inspired to talk about this from a moment I had back in my college days. It was during final season, and if you've been in college or even high school, you know what that looks like. Papers, exams, group projects, which I always dreaded with a passion, and presentations. Well, one semester was really hectic for me, and I remember that in one of my English classes, we were reading a book for a class discussion, right? And my professor at the time asked us to come up with a few questions we had about the book and email them prior to our next class meeting so we could discuss it. And I'm not bragging or anything when I say this, but I came up with a very strong question. And when I wrote this question, I knew that he was going to pick mine, and I planned on being prepared for class discussion. Now, little did I know that he was going to pick my question as the very first topic for discussion. I was so tired that day because of all of the final projects and essays that I was doing that I was struggling to get my super fried brain active. And I probably should have wrote what I was going to say instead of keeping it all in my head. So when he called on me, I was just drawing a complete blank. Do you hear me? A complete blank. And I apologized, and he proceeded to ask the rest of the class. And I was so embarrassed. I was always alert whenever a professor called on me, but in that moment, I couldn't say anything. I knew what I wanted to say, but that weary feeling, you know how when you just feel so exhausted, you can't even think straight? That's the feeling that I had. I was just so weary, so exhausted. It just really came down on me once I got into the classroom, and I was just thrown off guard when he called on me first. And I forced my brain to wake up so I could join in the class the class discussion, and thankfully it worked. And I just thought to myself, how did this happen? This doesn't happen to me. What if he thinks that I'm a slacker? You know better than to draw blanks when you're being called on. What is wrong with you? So when class was over, I approached my professor, apologized again, and explained that I just had a lot on my plate due to the final season, and he was very, very understanding about that. He knew that this was a stressful time for a lot of the students, so he was not upset at all. But even though my professor was very cool about it, I was still kicking myself for about a week or a week and a half. And it just consumed my mind when I tried to do other things. So when my older sister came to visit us one day, I told her about it, and unfortunately, she didn't offer any help. She was like, oh, well, that's good that your professor was understanding, and started scrolling on her cell phone. And I remember I was just thinking to myself, psh, man, why did I even bother talking to her? How is it that she can't share any advice as the older sibling? I mean, thanks a lot for nothing. But it just goes to show that you have to be careful of who you decide to open yourself up to. So a few days later, I talked to my father about it, and he told me, you shouldn't feel bad about this situation at all. You're smart, and I'm sure your professor knows that. You always work hard and do your best. And we're all going to make mistakes as long as we live, but we learn from them. And after my father said that, I was finally able to just relax. I just needed to hear those words. That mistake clouded my mind so much that I just couldn't focus on the good things about myself. I needed that reminder. And I know many of you tuning in right now need it too. Do not allow past mistakes to ever cancel out the good qualities that you possess. If you always strive for perfection, you'll always end up disappointed, because it is a quality that no human being has. No one on this earth is perfect. The only one that is perfect is Jesus Christ. And that brings me to the end of this dose of vitamin P. Thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to share this with anyone that you feel needs to hear this message, and feel free to share your thoughts below in the comments if you feel led to do so. If you do leave a comment, please refrain from profane language, even if it's an abbreviation, and please be respectful. God bless each and every single one of you, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.